Hello, welcome to Flory Models Daily Vlog. Here we are on Wednesday and a busy old day today. To be honest, I've been rescribing, we've been putting raised rivets on this guy, and we've been priming. And he went something like this. Yeah, there we go. What a lump. And what a lump. It really is a lump. I must admit, I thought I was going to have loads of problems with little seam lines, little tiny joins, fingerprints, just tiny little problems I thought I had with it. And to be honest, apart from that one on the top, which we've now sanded in, I'm going to reprime it in a moment, we've actually got away really, really well with this one. It's all gone together fantastically. Love the Archer raised rivets that we did around the back. It's, to be honest, on the sheet they don't look very big, but you put them on, they're like, wow, no, they're okay. We'll stop with that and we'll go with it. Again, just the carrier film thing, a little bit of an issue with it, but generally I think they're easier than messing around with, you know, trying to actually replace with recessed. They are raised and everything else, so I'm quite happy to go down that route. But anyway, tomorrow we're in the paint stage with that one. I intend to get that one actually painted up, and hopefully we'll get the weapons done all with it as well. The gear's going to be done with it. So by the back end of the week, we should be really pushing on with it. It should be coming together really nicely. We'll get the markings onto it. We'll be back on par and moving through. Thank you for all the lovely feedback. Almost lovely, a few little haters out there. But yeah, when we was talking about obviously modelling, what my point to it really was is that I just wanted to be in a situation where modelling is as much part of construction as it is the painting and weathering. And that's what I was saying with stuff like Bandai. Let's face it, you can just use, and I have done many times, you've seen before, a pair of snips and a knife. That's all you need. You don't need any more tools for the construction. You don't even need glue, and they go together and you can go straight into painting and weathering. And I love that. I still maintain that's probably the future of the hobby for the new generation coming up. My point to it was though, and I think a lot of people have taken it the wrong way, is when I was saying about that how kits technically, you know, having problems and the construction side is as much part of it as the painting and weathering. And I think people are losing the skills and the talents and now are quite happy to just be bitter and petty and just slag off a kit, when really it's not the kit's fault. The kit is what it is. It's a plastic construction. It's not Lego. At the end of the day, if you just want to put something together, go and build Lego. Okay, but from our point of view as modelers, having that little bit of a struggle is part of it. And talking to a few of you, obviously, sent me questions and we've spoken about it. I think a great thing that came out about it is how that, you know, the main problem modelers had 10 years ago and before was what filler to use. Now, do you use, you know, your standard sort of, you know, green putties and your Tamiya putties, or are you a super glue and talcum powder guy, you know, and this type of thing, or gloop, you know, the old-fashioned gloop? Because the actual filler and sanding was as much part of modelling as glue, because it was going to need it. It was always that thing, let alone the bit where you do a conversion. And let's face it, a conversion, you know, say you were doing an aircraft and you went from a single seat to a two seat and you have to chop the front off. You knew full well the resin plug-in was never going to be a plug-in because it's never that simple. So you'd have to then sand and fill and blend and smooth, and then after it would be like rescribing, re-riveting to make it fine. And they were always a challenge, and that's what a lot of us love to do. They like to do that conversion because it was the challenge of the model making. Model making was more about construction and having a beautiful finish than ever it was about painting and weathering and everything else. That's something that seems to have cropped up recently. So from our point of view, I'm just simply saying that as a hobby, you know, are we losing the basics? Is it now a thing that, you know, because a kit costs 80 quid, 100 quid, 110 quid, whatever it is, because of that, it should be perfect? And yeah, you're probably right. And I know, you know, I say me, I'll contradict myself all day long. Hands up, I'm guilty as the next person. But from my point of view, though, is that there's certain things I don't mind about a kit. You know, the odd little thing. I'm working on this one now. It's got problems over it right the way down to here we are. We're doing pylons. They won't sandwich together because they got flash on them, a little bit of plastic, and you know where it's been pulled from the mold, it's got a drag mark in the ear pins and stuff like that. So it needs to be sanded. So I've had to sand and do each one, test fit, put it together. But that doesn't make it a bad kit. That's not unbuildable. It just needs a little bit of work. And I think that's what people are missing the point now, where really construction has almost become overlooked. That construction is something that should be like a Bandai kit and it falls together and you just move on, you know. But in my world, it's just as much as part of painting and weathering. That's all I'm saying to it. And don't get me wrong, the AAA companies out there, let's face it, like the Zuccamoris of this world and Tamiya, we know will produce a kit that is pretty much flawless and it will go together. The Tamiya Tomcat, for instance, I haven't built it, but everybody I know had says it's the best kit ever to go together. From my point of view, their F16 was Tamiya perfect, okay? So again, it was just that thing. And all right, you get other companies, and it has been mentioned to me, Kitty Hawk releasing junk for the same price that Tamiya do. Yes, okay, you know, they are. But they're a new upcoming company. If you want to affect them, instead of just continuously kicking them in the teeth, either don't buy their kit or give them the feedback. You know, instead of just bitching about it, physically write a letter to the company, say, look, I'm working on your kit, I've got problems here, here and here. If everybody did that, they would soon get the hint, trust me. But all the time everyone's just happy to bitch about it and not do anything about it though, that's the problem you're always going to have. But my point is, I'm quite happy to build a crap kit, if you like, because it's part of the struggles with it. Okay, there's some out there I wouldn't go near, but that's because I won't buy them because I've heard they're terrible and everything else. But there's other kits out there where I know it's going to be a handful to do it. I know it's not going to be well, but it will test me as a modeler. For instance, I'm looking right at it now, I'd like to do it, is the Fly 32nd Wessex. If you look at it, it's like half a kit, because it's going to take a lot of work to get it together. It's a limited type run kit. It's going to have loads of issues. It's going to need loads of filler. It's going to need loads of rescribing, loads of re-riveting. But to me, that's part of the hobby. That's why when it's done, you'll sit back and go, wow, it was a labour of love, but boy, was it worth it. Instead of saying, yeah, I put that together this afternoon, painted it, and it's great. Where's the real thing about it? Anyway, going on now. Don't want to do another rant. Anyway, on a lighter note, for the point of transparency, I have to say that we were given 3 airbrushes, so technically it's like a paid for review, okay? So the review for this little guy is up now. This is the Iwata, the High Performance C, or the HPC. It's a beautiful airbrush, absolutely gorgeous. I do love the Iwata airbrushes, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people are going to be saying, but Phil, you always say that Harder and Steenbeck are the best ones. I do, and I still maintain it. This is still a far superior airbrush to this one. But if somebody gave me 2 airbrushes to use, to say to spray this tomorrow, I'd use the HPC. Purely because it's a nicer airbrush to actually use. Living with it, on the other hand, is a totally different case, because to clean this thing afterwards and just general maintenance and everything else like that is a lot more hard work than the old Evo or the Infinity or any of the Harder and Steenbeck range. That's why I love these, that's why I go with it. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's the easiest to live with. Like women. Sometimes you get a nice glamorous one who's probably a nightmare to live with against, you know. I'm not going down that route. Anyway, this one is a great review. Go and have a look at it. As I said, we're going to be giving this one away. So all you got to do is actually obviously be a member of Flory Models, but make sure you've logged into the site within the last 30 days on Sunday, because on Sunday night on the live show, which is back with you at 5 o'clock, I'm going to pull somebody out of the hat at random who's going to walk away with this great airbrush. And fear not if you're a non-member, because next month we're going to have another prize draw with another airbrush which has been supplied to us by Graphic Air again, and that's going to be for non-members or members. Okay, it's going to be open to anybody. All you got to do is make a post on one of our social media things and we'll grab it like that. Okay, so very, very simple, but it's a great review. It's around about 25 minutes. We strip it, we clean it, we use it, do all the bits and pieces, and I do a comparison with the actual, my favorite airbrush, which is the Infinity, and you can see my thoughts on both of them. But definitely it's a gorgeous airbrush. It's beautiful and everything. Say, living with it a little bit different, but it's definitely a very nice airbrush indeed. Speaking of social media, great segue, we are now on Twitter. Yes, we're going to be everywhere, quite frankly. So Mel has been setting that up today. So she set us up with a Twitter account. And then what we're going to be doing is obviously every time we do anything, like we do with all the others, it will go onto Twitter, Facebook, all our usual bits and pieces, just like that. So hopefully you keep you up to date, and that way you'll never miss out on anything we do, just like that. Anyway, I'm going to carry on now. I'm going to finish off the weapons fit for this, do a little bit of tidying up, get the gear work done and stuff like that, get this thing tidied back in, and then that way it will be ready for paint tomorrow. So till tomorrow, everybody, happy modelling, take care.